Good morning. We are back. We made it another day. We are at day 4 of Back Down History Lane. The object is to do 21 days. And we have started in the book of Genesis 25, 21st verse, and we're going to go all the way to the 34th verse. But today we are at Genesis 25 and 25. We're going to go to the 26th verse. So those two verses today, which are very simple. A brief recap on where we've been and what happened yesterday. Yesterday we talked about Rebecca going and praying again and getting an answer that she needed. Well, an answer that she needed. Let's just put it there. And the Lord used Shem to tell her that she had 2 nations in her womb that was causing her such pain and agony. He also told her that, these 2 nations, these 2 babies that you have in your womb, if you can't contain them inside your stomach, the world won't even be able to contain them on the outside. The earth, they will never live in peace. They will never live together. One will always rule the other. And then it also stated for us that they will never be equal. I believe I said that, but they will never be equal. And I also yelled out to you that this is prophetic. So I'm going to just read from Genesis 25 and 25, and it says, "The first baby came out red, all his body like a hairy cloak. So they called him Esau." The 26th verse says, "Afterward, his brother came out with his hands holding Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when his wife bore them." Oh, I want to go back and really, really focus on the first one that came out. Because if we go back to the 23rd verse, in there it says, "The older one shall serve the younger one." So now I want to go back to 25 and read it one more time. "The first came out red, all over his body like a hairy cloak. So they called him Esau." I want to tell you some descriptions that I have that kind of described who Esau was. He was impure. It means from the womb, he came out pure, which 9 times out of 10, he probably was the one starting all the trouble in the womb with the other brother. He was never circumcised, it's the book of Jasher tells us. And that is a sign of a covenant with God. So if he didn't have that covenant with God from birth, according to biblical times back then, remember we're talking about history. If he didn't have that sign of a covenant as far as him being circumcised, that was against what God had. He also had a birthmark, it tells me, that symbolized a serpent. We know snakes are not a good symbol. It doesn't symbolize anything good. It also says the fact that he merely came out oddly different. Like you can't even explain what he looked like. It just came out oddly different besides red hair and red all over. He was a lover of impurity, sin. Granted, we all are filthy rags, but we're talking about Esau that came out a lover of sin, impurity, hatred. He was in the womb, probably starting trouble. I thought that this was so interesting that to come home and see the news yesterday. And my interpretation, my thought process, Esau represents every bit of what we saw yesterday at the Capitol. And that's my interpretation. Now you interpret it how you want to. But every bit of what we saw represents Esau to me. We can talk about Jacob, how he came out the womb. He was considered clean. He continued to learn and study the word, the Torah. He was not perfect, but he loved the Lord. He wasn't perfect, but he loved the Lord. We are not perfect, but we love the Lord. Oh, Jacob's name identified with a lot of prophetic stuff, with prophecy. If you break down his name, I cannot go into all that, but he symbolized prophetic prophecy. But we have here the two babies are out the womb now, and the games have begun. Even more, they started in the stomach, but now they have begun. And we chop them up by name. Esau, we know, means red, hairy, unclean, full of impurity, while Jacob's name means clean. Let's go with also a studier of the word. He loved God. And again, that concludes my 2 scriptures for today. And I want to leave you with those thoughts that we just talked about. You are free to go read it, put it all together, read what we already read so far. Go back over it and see if you can see if the words pop up to you now. I am praying that you make this day just as determined as you are. Have a blessed day. Ooh, have a blessed day.